Welcome to Only True Horror, where the stories are real, the fear is alive, and the darkness never sleeps. Dare to watch.
It was March 2012 when Emily and her boyfriend Daniel moved into apartment 9 on the top floor of a century-old building in Brooklyn. The rent was surprisingly low, and the landlord only said one thing: don't worry about the noises at night. The pipes are old. That first night, as Emily unpacked, she heard faint whispers coming from the empty apartment next door. But when she leaned closer to the wall, the whispers stopped, replaced by slow, dragging footsteps inside their own hallway. Later that night, Emily woke to the sound of a soft whisper, someone murmuring her name. She sat up, heart pounding, and glanced at Daniel, fast asleep beside her. The sound came again, this time clearer, from inside the bedroom closet. Gathering her courage, she turned on her phone flashlight and walked slowly toward it. The light flickered for a second, then silence. When she pulled open the closet door, the whisper stopped, but all her clothes were swaying gently, as if someone had just brushed past them. The next morning, Emily met Mrs. Alvarez, the elderly woman from apartment 10 across the hall. When Emily mentioned the whispers, Mrs. Alvarez's face went pale. She whispered, "You live in number 9? That place should have stayed empty." She told Emily that years ago, a man named Victor lived there, alone. The neighbors often heard him talking to someone who wasn't there. One night, police found the apartment empty, his walls covered in strange symbols written in ash. Since then, no tenant had stayed longer than a month. That evening, curiosity got the better of Emily. She began checking every corner of the apartment, hoping to prove the old woman wrong. But when she moved the dresser in the bedroom, her flashlight revealed faint black markings on the wall. Strange symbols burned into the plaster itself. She touched one out of disbelief, and a chill ran through her arm, like ice water beneath her skin. From somewhere deep within the apartment's walls came a slow, rasping breath, followed by a quiet knock, 3 times, from inside the wall. That night, the knocking returned, louder this time. 3 sharp knocks. Always at exactly 3:07 a.m., Emily sat frozen in bed, clutching the blanket, while Daniel insisted it was just the pipes. But the sound grew closer, moving from the wall to the floor beneath them. Then the lights flickered once, twice, and from the dark hallway came the echo of footsteps, slow and deliberate, stopping right outside their bedroom door. The doorknob turned halfway, then stopped. Silence swallowed the room. Emily's breath caught as the silence deepened. Then, with a slow creak, the bedroom door opened on its own, inch by inch, until it revealed the pitch-black hallway. The air turned icy cold. Daniel leapt up and switched on the light, but the bulb exploded with a pop, showering glass onto the floor. In the brief flash, Emily swore she saw a shadow at the end of the hallway, tall, unmoving, watching. When Daniel stepped forward to check, the hallway light flicked on by itself, and the shadow was gone. The next morning, Emily tried to convince herself it was all stress and imagination. But as she walked down the hallway toward the kitchen, she stopped mid-step. The air suddenly dropped to freezing. Her breath misted in front of her, even though the heater was on. She waved her hand through the space, feeling that one invisible spot colder than ice. Then, from beneath the floorboards, came a low, muffled moan, not mechanical, but human. The sound moved along the hallway slowly, stopping right where she stood, and then everything went silent. Later that day, the landlord stopped by to check the heating. Emily mentioned the strange noises, but he froze when she said apartment 9. He hesitated, then admitted that the building's wiring and pipes ran through an old basement, sealed off years ago. When he left, curiosity drove Emily and Daniel to find the basement door. Behind a row of cleaning supplies, they found it, locked with a rusted chain. Through the cracks, Emily saw faint candlelight flickering below, and heard what sounded like someone softly chanting in the dark. That night, the chanting returned, faint but clear, echoing up through the floorboards. Emily pressed her ear against the wood, and her heart skipped. The voice wasn't speaking English. It was something guttural, ancient, rhythmic. Daniel grabbed a flashlight, determined to end it. But when he reached the basement door, the chain was gone. The door stood slightly open, cold air seeping through. As he shone the light down the steps, the chanting stopped. For a moment, there was only silence. Then, a deep exhale came from below, as if something was aware of them. Daniel and Emily gathered their courage and stepped into the basement. The air was thick, damp, and colder than before. Their flashlight beam danced across decaying furniture and broken pipes, until it stopped on a small wooden door hidden behind a row of old shelves. The wood was blackened, like it had been burned long ago. Etched into it were the same symbols they'd seen upstairs. As Daniel reached for the handle, the air pressure dropped sharply. Their ears popped, and the flashlight flickered out. In total darkness, they both heard it, a whisper right between them. "Welcome back." The door creaked open slowly, revealing a tiny room frozen in time. Old furniture lay broken, walls scorched with symbols, and in the far corner stood a dark figure, tall, faceless, its outline shrouded in smoke. Emily froze. Daniel whispered her name, but the figure shifted, gliding silently across the floor. It pointed toward the ceiling, where the previous tenant's name, Victor, was etched into the beams. The room seemed alive, breathing around them, and the figure's presence pressed down, making every heartbeat feel like a drum in a tomb. As Emily and Daniel stepped further into the hidden room, the shadowy figure disappeared into the corner, replaced by a smaller, whispering shadow hovering just above the floor. It spoke in a chorus of distorted voices, echoing Victor's final words, "Leave or join me." The air thickened, and the room seemed to pulse with a dark heartbeat. Every time Emily tried to approach, the shadow retreated, only to reappear behind Daniel, whispering faster, louder, as if feeding on their fear. Suddenly, the room grew unbearably cold, and a deep, guttural growl echoed through the basement. From the far corner, a towering demonic figure emerged, its eyes glowing like molten fire, horns curving menacingly from its head. Emily screamed, but the sound seemed swallowed by the darkness. Daniel tried to move, but his feet felt rooted to the floor. The demon advanced, its claws scraping the concrete, leaving faint scorch marks on the floor with each step. Every instinct screamed to run, but the figure's gaze held them in place, a predator savoring its prey. Panic surged through Emily and Daniel as the demonic figure lunged forward. They scrambled over broken furniture and debris, their flashlight bouncing wildly. The demon moved impossibly fast, claws scraping the concrete, smoke trailing its movements. The smaller whispering shadow darted around them, amplifying their fear with guttural whispers. Every corridor seemed to twist and stretch unnaturally, as if the basement itself was alive, guiding the horrors and trapping them deeper into its dark heart. Breathless and terrified, Emily and Daniel slammed a heavy shelf against the basement door, hoping to block their pursuers. But the demons weren't done. The towering demon's claws sliced through the air, leaving sparks where they struck, while the whispering shadow crawled along the walls, merging with the darkness to form new, grotesque shapes. The room felt smaller, the air thicker. Their flashlight barely penetrated the darkness, revealing fleeting glimpses of burning symbols appearing on the walls, as if the apartment itself was feeding the evil. A low rumble shook the basement, making dust fall from the ceiling. Suddenly, a crack snaked across the far wall, growing wider by the second. From the fissure, a black, writhing mass began to emerge, shifting like liquid smoke but forming grotesque, screaming faces. The demonic figure advanced through the chaos, claws scraping the floor, while the whispering shadow joined the writhing mass, feeding on the terror. Emily and Daniel huddled together, realizing the apartment itself had become a doorway, a portal for the evil trapped within apartment 9. The crack in the wall widened into a jagged portal, pulsating with black and red energy. The writhing smoke and shadows poured out, filling the basement with an oppressive darkness. The demon roared, its molten eyes glowing brighter, as the whispering shadow slithered along the floor, merging with the portal. Emily and Daniel stumbled backward, feeling invisible hands clawing at their skin. pulling them toward the abyss. Reality itself seemed to bend. The walls twisted, the ceiling sagged, and the air vibrated with the screams of unseen entities. As the portal's darkness spread, Emily felt an icy grip around her mind. Whispers echoed directly in her thoughts, promising power or death. Daniel tried to grab her, but his hands passed through her as if she was already slipping into another dimension. The demonic figure raised its claw, and the shadows from the portal surged toward her, wrapping around her body like living chains. Her vision blurred, reality bending, and she felt herself being pulled, not just into the portal, but into the essence of apartment 9 itself, where past victims' screams were trapped forever. Daniel, desperate, grabbed a fallen metal pipe and swung it toward the portal, trying to break the chains holding Emily. The demonic figure roared, claws swinging, sparks flying as metal scraped against concrete. The whispering shadow darted around, trying to block him, but his determination grew. He pulled Emily toward the basement stairs, every step a battle against invisible forces dragging them back. For a fleeting moment, the portal flickered, as if the apartment itself hesitated, giving them a chance to escape into the relative safety of the dim hallway above. With one final surge of strength, Daniel dragged Emily up the basement stairs. The portal's roar echoed behind them as the demonic figure and shadows thrashed violently, but they burst into the hallway, slamming the basement door shut. The apartment was silent once more, the walls cold but still. They didn't wait. They ran, leaving behind apartment 9 forever. Even months later, Emily could feel its presence lingering in the corners of her mind. Some doors, she realized, are never truly closed. If you thought apartment 9 was terrifying, remember, true horror is closer than you think. Subscribe to Only True Horror for more real-life stories that will keep you up at night. Hit the bell so you never miss a tale of the unexplained, the haunted, and the terrifying, all based on true events.